So, welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Rico Limbaugh. I received a video today, and it was from several different members of my audience, which I do appreciate your support. They were saying that now I've never watched this video. We're going to watch it all together in real time, so I'm letting more people populate. But they were saying that this video was eerily similar to everything that I had called out a couple of months ago when this first started out. Things that I said were going to happen, things that I said would come out. Now people are sending me this video and asking me, am I some kind of psychic, or am I a part of this? And it's not that. Personally, I just study human psychology. I study people. You don't have to read somebody's mind to see their patterns. One thing about people is that we're creatures of habit. We're humans. This was not something that could be studied in detail before, but now we have social media, right? Social media made its real prominence, I would say 2012 is when Twitter came out, and you can kind of see like instantaneous what's happening with people in different places. And then Facebook became prominent, and it kind of blew up. So now we have over 10 years of behavior patterns and people that we can study. So what I do is I just look at people's history. I know, have you ever heard the saying, there's nothing new under the sun? Well, that means that we're not going to see anything that's completely out of, it's not something we haven't seen. Some of the oldest stories that we know in human history, like in the Bible, are about being lied to and Judas. What do you see happening nowadays? A lot of men don't want to get married anymore. We want to get divorces, not because of what we don't know about the women that we're with, but because of what we do know, because of what we find out. How do we find out? Facebook, Twitter. The friends aren't going to tell us. There are things that can come out eventually that can completely change how you look at the person you're with. As men, we're blinded by beauty, but eventually that will subside, and we will start to ask questions. A friend of mine who sent me this video, she said that that's what I described a couple months ago, and it seems like this is what happened with Charlie. And this is all just predictable. They're like, well, how did you know? Because this is how it always happens. It wasn't going to happen any other way. The odds of her being this super trustworthy, good Christian woman, slim to none. We can look at the patterns. The ones that are like that don't look like her, don't have a checkered past. So we're going to watch this video together in real time. And this is apparently, now I don't know the authenticity, but it all sounds right. A lot of people in TPUSA, younger people, they don't want the rest of their lives ruined. So they're not going to talk about these things. But I've been in Charlie Kirk's shoes, where I didn't know who to talk to when I found out some stuff about my girlfriend at the time, or I was actually going to get married. My fiance found out secrets and things that were going on behind my back. Found out she was stealing from me. Found out people that were apparently her brother or best friend. They weren't that. So now Charlie's going to find out about how Erica actually met Tyler Boyer, how Charlie met Erica through Tyler. And it seems like Tyler put Erica onto Charlie. A lot of men have been through this before, especially when you're the target. Happens every day. So there's nothing new under the sun. We're going to just see we're going to watch this video together in real time. I'm going to stop it periodically and add my 2 cents in. But all of this it's pretty status quo. This is pretty normal to be betrayed by people you love and people around you because you have money plotting on you. It happens.
A gag order on 3,000 people. Evidence locked away. Every trace of that day erased. The witnesses are terrified to speak, except one. And today, he's done being silent. A Turning Point USA insider, a donor who knew Charlie Kirk personally, is stepping forward. He's violating the gag order because he says the cover-up isn't just criminal, it's historic. He calls it the biggest inside job since 9/11, and he's ready to name names. According to him, the rot started from within. Traitors inside Charlie's own circle, people he trusted, conspired to end his life. And the reason why is more terrifying than anyone imagined. Stay with us, because once you hear what he has to say, you'll understand why they are disappearing people to keep this story buried. Before we dive in, did you know that Israel has quietly brought up most of the world's on you? Judge Tony Graff placed gag orders on more than 3,000 people connected to the assassination. That includes every staff member at TPUSA, faculty and students from Utah Valley University, and even bystanders who were present that day.
Now, I thought that was bullshit until I looked it up. They indeed put a blanket gag order. I've never heard of something so ridiculous in my entire life, because how do you enforce it? And why would you want to put a gag order over everyone involved? Isn't the best disinfectant light? Why wouldn't you want transparency? Why would you want to cover this up and silence people from talking about it? It's insane. But yes, that's true. That's really happening.
Let that sink in. 3,000 gag orders. Covering up a false flag on this scale doesn't just take coordination, it takes control. Control over the people, control over the evidence, control over the narrative. But here's the problem for those pulling the strings. The truth always leaks. And this week it did, big time. New, previously unseen footage from the Charlie Kirk assassination has surfaced.
And do me a favor, like the video, share the video, bring more people in. More people should understand what's going on. A lot of us cared about Charlie and about what happened. We respected his mission. We enjoyed the person he was and what he accomplished. So share the video, like the video, boost me up in the algorithm. I do appreciate your support. I see all the people tuning in on live on all the different platforms. Thank you guys very much. I'm a new channel, so please, if you can, like the video, subscribe. The Single Boyfriend on YouTube or Right Wing Rico, either or.
In it, an urgent voice cuts through the chaos, just seconds before the fatal shot. Clearly commanding, stay down. Who was that voice talking to? A member of the security detail? A spotter relaying orders? Or something darker? A handler directing the hit squad?
Now, this has already been reported from different countries that there was a spotter in the crowd when this happened. So that means that this was being coordinated against Charlie. And instead of saying his security team was in on it, his security team more so were, let's say, instructed to stand down, stay out of the way. Even if they weren't personally the one pulling the triggers, they were told to get out of the way and don't get involved. And they whisked them away. I knew that this was weird because if you watch the video, they're all wearing dark shades, all the people with him. And none of them even took their glasses off to get a better look at the injury. So they're all wearing these dark tinted glasses, and everyone looks super cool, but everyone's too cool to take them off to get a better look at the injury to see how to treat them. That was another red flag for me this day. Look, they're putting stuff in their pockets and they're running away from Charlie. They are already on the move. Michael McCoy, all these other so-called friends, they don't know if he's dead. They don't know where he was shot. They don't know anything, but they're already announcing he's dead. How did they know? And now that we brought in Grok and other AI tools, they're saying that the sound doesn't line up with the injury. So it didn't come from 200 yards away. It's not consistent with a gunshot. It seems like it was a lower caliber, smaller device that was closer to Charlie that caused the injury. Now there are other people speculating that there was a a prosthetic around his neck that made that blood just squirt out like that. Because in real life, you don't really see that. That's like Kill Bill style, a movie magic. When you do special effects. In real life, you don't see that. So, but I mean, but if you were saying that he was wearing a prosthetic neck, then you would have to assume Charlie was in on it. And we don't want to say that, because then that leads to saying maybe he's somewhere hiding out. But it's a lot of weird things that we're going to go over this episode. I was watching a man named Baron last night, The Real Baron, and we went over a pilot that was apparently the doctor that they took Charlie to at this other hospital, not the closest hospital. And this is the weirdest doctor on earth. He speaks 5 languages. People say, how many Americans speak 5 languages? I personally speak 5 languages. I don't know any other polygogs or people that speak multiple. I don't know any other people really besides myself, my grandfather, a few people in my family, and they were in the military, but that's it. He owns 2 airplanes. They have his complete flight record. He flies every month. Guess which month he magically didn't fly in, and he just happened to be in Utah? September. But they said he had another plane, a smaller plane, that's only a 2-seater, and he turned off all the tracking for that plane. He pays to make sure you cannot track this particular specific plane. And this guy goes to hospitals and he's just flying all over. He's not stationary anywhere. It's just like the weirdest doctor that they took this guy to. We're going to go over that. I'm going to play that Baron video.
This isn't background noise. This is deliberate. It's coordinated. And it's damning. We now have faces in frame. The next step is to put names to them. So the question becomes, what are they so desperate to hide? Why did they rush in and rip off his lapel mic before he even hit the floor? Why did they seize the memory cards from every camera in sight, scrubbing the evidence before a single frame could surface?
Now, this right here, you can see his neck very clearly. It seemed like there was a bulge, like a tonsillitis in one picture, but I don't know how amazing your makeup artist is, but they did a good job, because if it was makeup, you could not tell. You could not tell that's a prosthetic. If that's real, who knows?
From the very start, the official story didn't add up. They said it was a 30-06 rifle. When that was called out as impossible, they said Charlie was literally superhuman, with a jawbone so strong it literally stopped a bullet in its tracks. But when
accusing Charlie of having bones made out of the same adamantium that Wolverine is made out of is ridiculous. And I think that, like I said, it's not just me, it's not just Baron and Jesse and Candace that are talking about this and Mr. Let Go. There's like millions of people around the world who are heavily invested in this, because the lies are just so blatant. But we as Americans are the only ones with freedom of speech that can legally talk about this in our country. In other parts of the world, they can't ask questions, or they can get a knock on their door and be arrested. So they are depending on us. My audience in Germany and other parts of the world, the UK, they depend on us Americans to do this investigative journalism. So we have to keep going. That's bullshit. His bones are not strong enough to stop a 30-06 bullet. That's ridiculous. And that's why it's just more and more leaks that are coming out, and they can't plug the holes fast enough. I really wish Candace hadn't met with Erica yesterday.
When you look closely, really look, the so-called entrance wound looks a lot more like an exit wound.
Hey, why are there combustion fumes like from a bullet coming out of that camera's telephoto lens? Because when I enlarged it in my Adobe Premiere Pro video and editing, you can see the combustion fumes from the bullet coming out of it. That's not a real camera. That's the housing for a camera with a fire mechanism inside. It's similar to the one I found online, which is a CIA Stinger 22 Magnum pin gun inside a camera. And that telephoto lens has a suppressor, silencer, and it's literally the smoking gun. Where do you think Steven Spielberg got the idea from when the Israeli used a single barrel bicycle pump to take out a lady they thought was a terrorist who bombed the Olympic team. They denied it and said the crew made it up. I don't believe that.
He's speaking of a movie from 2005 called Munich. And basically it showed how Israel has a team called Israeli intelligence, Mossad, how they can basically travel around the world and they can assassinate anyone they want at any time. And because of the Holocaust, you're not allowed to criticize them for it, or you'd be considered anti-Semitic. So you're not allowed to say anything about it. So they have all these cool weapons that they use. So apparently you could just be pushing a bicycle down the street and you can aim the bicycle at somebody and press a button, and there's a device where it's like a gun built into the bike and it can shoot you. And there are also cameras that can shoot you. And there are lapels that you can put that looks like a microphone, and it can shoot you. And they can wire you up to think you think it's a microphone and it's really a weapon. They have all these things. This is not science fiction. You think James Bond is fake, or you thought it was fake. That's based on Mossad and CIA technology. You just didn't know it was real, because if it was used against Americans in the United States, you wouldn't know in the first place. They use this for clandestine operations in other parts of the world. Just like remember the cancer gun? Remember the heart attack gun? Those are all real. It's just that we live in this bubble of normalcy, right? And watching this happen to Charlie completely shattered that veil of normalcy. Now we have to ask questions about what else has been going on around us. You got to ask about what's happening in Australia, what's happening in the UK, what's happening in these places, and why, and who's behind it. And if you watch my content, and I make tons of it, I explain to you in detail, you're watching a proxy war between the Zionists and the globalists. The Zionists are using Israel. The globalists are using they're using Northern Africa in the Middle East. And those two factions are going at each other, but it's just proxies for the globalists and the Zionists. And they both are fighting for control over the United States and our arsenal of weaponry. Remember, a few months ago when we attacked Iran on behalf of Israel, that made Israel the envy of the world, because it was just definite proof that they have control over our arsenal. The globalists want that same influence, but they have to remove the Zionists out of the way. So what they're doing is they're using mass migration of people that they control. Islamic people from different parts of Africa and the Middle East are now being flooded into these countries. The Zionists were the ones in control of these nations, like Australia. The Zionists are losing this battle, and they now need the public's support. So what they're going to do is they're going to stage false flags so that you will help them basically come up with new policies to get rid of the Islamic invasions. It's just a little too late. We don't have the forces, and the people don't have the will to do it. Also, the men that they're drafting, remember, they're bringing a lot of men from these countries. These are men that fight. These are not men that are confused about their sexuality or scared, and they welcome death because they want to meet their God. So it's a different type of enemy, which is going to make it a lot harder. The only option would have been to stop them from being imported to these countries in the first place. But again, it's a little too late. So that's what he's talking about. He's bringing up a movie called Munich. It's a Steven Spielberg movie from 2005. You should look it up. It's a really good watch.
They are into espionage, and they do that kind of thing, just like the United States. Google it. Now, let me run the clip and show you who the shooter is. I believe he had a black cap and a brown shirt, but with a collar. 17 seconds earlier, he was using the viewfinder, faking it, to take pictures. The bullet's traveling faster than sound. That's why you see the flash before you hear the sound. There he is. He looks like he has scruffles. I believe there's a black hat. He's also wearing a watch in his left hand. And there he is in front of Charlie. This shooter who's going to be behind Charlie with the camera gun is scouting the area to see Charlie's mannerism and what angle to shoot the bullet. Because if he misses, he's going to hit one of the audience people, and that's going to mess up the mission. And the one shooter theory.
Why did the judge place 3,000?
And I'll be honest with you, from the first day this began, I knew this was a something lower caliber, but it looks like he almost missed. So we were always saying it was an air actuated pellet device on the mic lapel, and it was probably mic'd up to hit him here, but it shifted over, and it seems like it just barely clipped him on an artery. It doesn't look like they were specifically trying to hit that artery, but from the angle that they're proposing this shot came from with that camera, that would explain why immediately they sent people to remove the SD cards from those back cameras, because that's the only people that would have been able to see where the shot actually came from. So that makes a lot of sense, by the way.
People under a gag order. And here's something most people don't know. Judge Tony Graff wasn't even supposed to be on the case. He's a replacement. The original judge was quietly reassigned after weeks of being tracked and monitored by Israeli operatives in the months leading up to the assassination. Just another coincidence? Something is very, very wrong here. And after the break, a Turning Point USA insider breaks his silence, defying the gag order to reveal what really happened inside Charlie's inner circle. Block Trust IRA is smashing 1,500 rivals. Thousands of ordinary Americans like you are already raking in 250.
I hate when foreigners are advertising to Americans. It's like, fuck, don't you have your own country and your own clientele base? Why is everything direct? It's like we're the target of the entire world because of the First and the Second Amendment. Everybody wants to target us for everything.
50% returns. Backed by two.
I want to get to the next part so we can talk about the psychological operation when it comes to this. Let's see here.
Graff, now on the case, and his predecessor Robert Lunin were also hit with Google searches from Israeli IPs months before the shooting. Lunin on May the 15th and Graff on July the 26th. For context, there wasn't a single Utah-based search on either until after Kirk's death. Coincidence? Or foreign intel scouting the bench? The coincidences don't end there. Lunin suddenly retired on August the 1st. Graff stepped in on August the 4th, the same day the Salt Lake FBI chief Meteb Sayed gets pulled. That's not random, that's choreography. And here's the real kicker. Judge Graff issued a massive gag order, his own motion, no push from prosecution or defense. It silences everyone, witnesses, lawyers, clerks, even unrelated attorneys in their firms. No precedent, no paper trail, just silence.
4th Judicial District Court, Utah County State of...
It has been so weird how extremely quiet it's been from Provo, Utah. You know, I remember back when the OJ case happened, there was camera crews and media in front of the house of all of his relatives and everyone he knows for over a year. There were just always camera crews there trying to get someone to speak. I have not seen not even one interview with Tyler Robinson's family or the alleged Lance Twiggs, who we don't even know if he even exists because we're at 3 months of him being missing. We don't even know if he's a real person. That's another crazy thing that nobody wants to talk about. But no one's sitting there camping out in front of their house, looking to do an interview, looking to speak to them. It's just kind of like it didn't happen. All the videos of him turning himself in with his family from parking in the parking lot, walking into the police station and the interrogation, all of those videos are gone. We did a FOIA request. They're all missing. Everything about this is just cloak and dagger and nonsensical.
Utah State versus Tyler Robinson. This is the protection order regarding pretrial and trial publicity. So we have the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, is charged with 1 count of aggravated murder and other felonies. These are like the predicate findings that are going into the order. The case has generated and is likely to continue to generate significant pretrial and trial publicity. That publicity can compromise defendant Tyler James Robinson's right to due process of law, as well as both parties' rights to a fair and impartial jury trial.
But also, they're not even sure if he's there. No one thinks he's the shooter. There's no video of him shooting anyone. No one caught him at the scene. He wasn't arrested at the scene. Excuse me. He literally, his family said, I think he walks like this guy. But what people don't want to speak about is that Well, Tyler Robinson is heavily autistic. He's not a regular male kid. He's kind of like Rampage Jackson's son, where they kind of just are they're there, but if you look at them in the eyes, it's like a blank slate. They're on the spectrum. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not going to just walk if the light's red, they're not going to walk into the street and get hit by a bus. They're functional, but they're not highly cognitive. There is no depth to them. They're autistic. So being on the spectrum, expecting him to all of a sudden turn into Jason fucking Bourne, scale buildings, climb on rooftops and purchase, and magically in broad daylight with drone coverage and full security, no one's seen him making an incredible one-hitter quitter from 200 yards away with a 30-06, an old military. None of it. It's all bull. It's all BS. So we know that, but they're wasting so much time on this guy, and no one's looking for, okay, well, who's the real person who did it? And now we're actually going through the footage, and I mean, think about it. The camera, there are higher. It's more odds that the camera guy did it than this dude, than this kid. I mean, the odds are higher, and we don't know who the camera guy is. He's in the wind. If you notice, he backed up, he turned around and walked away. Everyone just kind of fell back like they knew this was a staged event, and everything was coordinated. It was kind of like water ballet. You know, those like synchronized swimmers. That's how it looked, just well coordinated. You drop the curtain, everyone applauds, because that's how well of a performance this was.
Pretrial publicity is of particular concern because it can taint the prospective jury pool. To protect the parties' fundamental rights, the court, on its own motion, issues the following. Okay, so first off, this is the factual basis. This is the factual basis to justify gagging people in the case, right? A lot of publicity. People are interested in the case. It might. Maybe it would compromise the fairness of the trial or taint the jury pool. Maybe it would. So independently, without anybody asking, the court has decided it's going to issue the following protection order.
According to a TPUSA donor who knew Charlie Kirk personally, he's decided to violate the gag order because, in his words, there's too much at stake to stay silent.
So this is the part of the video that everyone wants me to watch and comment on, because this, if you go back to my early videos where I did about, this was called the Erica Kirk Truman Show, where I said Charlie was Truman and Erica Kirk was Truman's wife. And remember, she pulled out the little knives and stuff because Truman started asking questions, and he's like, who are you talking to? And it was just, and that's when Truman started to realize something was going on. That was Charlie. And the original script was, we're going to swap out Charlie for JD Vance. That's why they have JD going through a separation already. Erica's poised to be Erica Kirk hyphen Vance, because when she becomes the first lady, if this goes through, she's not going to drop the Kirk last name. She's going to keep it. Remember, they're going to bond through trauma. Both recently losing their partners. See, the Usha angle, I was looking more so cancer. That's what I was thinking they were going to do to Usha. She's going to get sick. But now they have him and her arguing and fighting. And it's a bad look if you want the guy who's going to be the future president, right before his wife has a cancer diagnosis or some kind of sickness, you see him and her yelling at each other in a restaurant. That's not a good look. You want him to seem like the victim. You wanted Erica to be the victim. That's why I said they're so desperate right now, because that plan was in full effect. All they had to do was just keep Erica in the dark. But now we know too much about her. We're watching her from different angles, doing a media tour. And you know what? Men are saying, oh yeah, men are giving her the benefit of doubt because we think she's cute. But women around the world are just seeing directly through her. Men are falling for it, women are not. And that's why you have so many red flags about her going up. And people are saying she's evil. Because think about it, in our modern history, the most heinous and horrible crimes ever committed, there was always somebody with a Bible or with a religious books or the Talmud actually telling you that it is justified. This is why you can't criticize me for doing this, because of this book. So we understand that religion is weaponized against people. So her trying to use religion to stop us from talking and asking questions, it just makes you, it means you're beyond guilty. And we're not even waiting for a jury to convict you. We know what we know and we understand it. So this next part of the video is more about the human psychology. And this is the part where I already called it and said, this is how it was going to play out eventually. Again, there's nothing new under the sun. He's not going to be the first man to be betrayed by the woman he loves. He won't be the last. Men are in love. Women are in business. And she's a very important asset. She's a honeypot. Remember, she came from the Romanian Angels with Tyler Boyer. And they reassigned her and kept her out of jail and protected her. If only we knew what happened to those 71 orphans. We know what was reported. We know what happened at the military base with the people that were killed. But what about the other orphans? Where are they now? These are all questions that are eventually going to come out. We're going to keep the pressure on. I mean, think about it. She flew to Candace for a meeting. Desperate is an understatement. And the reason why I say they're desperate is because according to the French whistleblower, well, they're on the timetable. They have they have about maybe 2.5 months before this war in Europe against the Russians is supposed to begin. And Candace, if she keeps talking, that can literally ruin the prospects of being able to kick off that conflict. It's crazy how one woman and her words could change the trajectory of society and save lives or, save the world. It's crazy how they're so worried. Like when I saw Tim Pool start attacking Candace, I was like, what do you care? Candace is on her show in another state. She's not an elected official. She's not a president. She's not God. She's not your mother. Why do you care what she's saying and what she's doing? It's none of your business. Focus on you. Then I started seeing even this guy who I like, the right-wing angel. I noticed he even made a post slamming. Why are you worried about her? She's a mom with a show. People watch it. What's that got to do with you? No one's stopping you you can make a counter argument and you can talk about the midterms. You don't need Candace to do it. You're leaning too much on her. And then that's what you can tell. This is all coordinated. There's only one person on earth they want to shut up. That's Candace Owens. So I think it was a huge blind spot. I don't think she should have even met with these people yesterday. I mean, who God knows, even if she's not sick today, it could be a few days from now. And all of a sudden because she was just around these people. We don't know what they have going on. That was a huge security blind spot right there. But anyway, let's get into the psychology of it all. I want you guys to see what this new insider is going to tell us.
Charlie Kirk was silenced. Now the system is trying to silence anybody connected to him. But truth doesn't vanish just because they outlaw it. And as this whistleblower told us, if their violence terrorizes us into compliance and silence, they win.
Look, I shouldn't even be talking to you right now. Judge Graff slapped me with a gag order. Same as everyone else who knows too much. Thing is, I wasn't even there that day. I didn't see the shooting, but because I was close to Charlie, because I was a donor, they decided I might know too much. So now I'm legally not allowed to say a word.
See, in my opinion, if this was somebody who was fake and staging this, they would have just lied and said that they were there that day. See, typically when it's a fake story, it's somebody trying to show that they're involved intricately. Yeah, I was there. I had just got there. I was a little bit late. No one really saw me, but I was on the scene. People that want to interject themselves in certain situations. But this person is saying, look, I wasn't even there that day. I just knew Charlie on the feeds to call me and talk to me. You could have just said you were there. Nobody would have known the difference. And people would have probably thought, oh, wow, maybe you got some new information. So that's what kind of gives me a hint that this could be authentic because they're not trying to insert themselves in every part of this story. And typically people that are lying want to put themselves in everything.
But you know what? Screw it. I'm going to say what I can because this is too important to bury. People deserve to know. Remember after 9/11, how we said, never forget? Well, 24 years later, we forgot. And here we are again. Same playbook. The government using blood and terror to steer public opinion. What they call kinetic politics. There are folks, eyewitnesses, who saw it happen up close. They'll tell you straight up, the shot didn't come from the roof. There's no way in hell it was a 30-06. But they can't talk. They've been threatened. Some with prison, some with worse. And the footage? It's vanishing as we speak. Phones seized, posts deleted, entire accounts wiped overnight. It's coordinated.
I've seen that happening. There was an article that we were reading on Trigger Smart, and we go back to the same article an hour later, and it's been a certain paragraph in the article removed. That type of precision is kind of like there's an AI somewhere that's being programmed to go and scrub stuff. I don't even know if a human would have caught that and just decided to remove these things. You know, when you unfortunately, when you have everything digitized, you can rewrite history. It's not in print on paper. You can just digitally go in and just change a few words and voila, it's a new story. So we're seeing that happen right now. And so I can confirm that that's true.
That whole TikTok takeover thing everyone joked about, not a coincidence. It's how they control what the younger crowd sees. They're feeding them a clean, filtered version of the truth. Straight up propaganda. In a generation, they'll all be brainwashed. A few weeks before he was killed, Charlie told me, he said, they told me I wouldn't make it to Christmas if I didn't back off. He was digging into some dark stuff. Israel, elite pedophilia networks, the funding lines nobody's supposed to touch. There was a so-called intervention in the Hamptons. Bill Ackman was there.
You see what I mean? In the Hamptons. Remember, go back to my old videos about Erica Kirk. Where did Erica Kirk say she was at when she got her first text message from Charlie Kirk? Can anybody guess? Take a guess. Where was Erica Kirk when she said, I received my first text message from Charlie? She was in the Hamptons. This is all true. And I know that because I was watching a video from 2018. I wonder if I could find it. It's on X also. You know what? I have it saved too. Let me see here. I have it saved. But I share a lot of stuff on X. But let me see. Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk, first meeting. Let's see here. Erica and Charlie interview when they first met. Let's see if I can find it.
For the first time at this office, Turning Point USA office.
So we met at the office opening, the Turning Point headquarters office opening, the first one, August 2018. And I had no idea what to expect because I was coming into the office from the standpoint of they were potentially going to hire me.
Why would a girl who owns her own nonprofit, who wins beauty pageants, who was just running an orphanage in Romania, but she grew up in New York and she lives in the Hamptons with her parents who apparently have technology and they help build the Iron Dome of Israel, obviously from a well-to-do family. Why is she applying for an internship job in Phoenix, Arizona for a small college organization like Turning Point USA?
And I knew of Erica. I saw Erica. And we had a very brief meeting at the office. And then I had my first conversation with Erica.
He'll tell it differently. So I'll tell you from my side. I was in the Hamptons. I get a random DM.
I was where? Where was Erica? Let's see if we can back this up for a second.
With Erica.
He'll tell it differently. So I'll tell you from my side. I was in the Hamptons.
I was in the Hamptons. And where did he just say that these people were meeting at? Where did he say they were meeting at? Let's see.
I didn't back off. He was digging into some dark stuff. Israel, elite pedophilia networks, the funding lines nobody's supposed to touch. There was a so-called intervention in the Hamptons.
A so-called intervention in the Hamptons. You know, Charlie had never been to the Hamptons until he met Erica. There was no reason to be in the Hamptons. That's not his crowd. This is amazing that we're actually able to live. You guys don't understand. We're living in history. We're living in the Trump days, you know, after Trump, and, you know, we look back on these times. We're actually writing history right now as we speak. All of this is going down a historical record. That's why I'm glad that I make these videos, because at least I can go back and say, I tried. I did my part. I was actually involved. And, you know, that way I'm not just sitting around hoping somebody else is going to stand up for me. I wanted to say that I did it myself. I was also in the fray. But let's get back to this video. So there was an intervention in the Hamptons. Basically, he got pressed. He got pressed on the subject of Israel by some other famous guy in the Hamptons. Bill Ackman, they're saying, is his name. He pressed Charlie and threatened him.
Bill Ackman was there. He basically told him, take the money, fall in line, or you're done. You know what's crazy? After that Hamptons meeting, Charlie told me he started finding weird stuff with his devices. His phone would heat up for no reason, battery draining in minutes, random feedback on calls. He joked about it at first, said, guess I made new friends in Tel Aviv. But then he got quiet. Told me he found a second SIM card in one of his backup phones. Something he swore he never put there. That's when it hit him. The whole trip had been a setup. Every word, every text, every whisper, bugged. He said, they don't need to threaten you if they already own your silence. Now he's gone. They're scrubbing
If you
everything.
If you listen to what this guy is saying, he's being very detailed in the script about things that normally anybody wouldn't even notice or wouldn't mention because it would be inconsequential. He's going into details, a second SIM card in an old phone that he knows he didn't put there. What do they tell you when your phone's bugged or something? They say your battery drains faster and feedback. I mean, and at this time, remember, he died at 31. He's been using a cell phone since he was, 14? We know phones. We know our phones. We know our devices. We know our tech. If he's noticing these things all of a sudden, it's because they're actually happening. But I think he started to see that there was a whole movie set built around him called his life. Think about it. He's flying into Erica Kirk's territory, the Hamptons. They set up a stage for him out there. And everything there was just a coordinated water ballet scene. And it was all about him because he was pushing forward their goals. It's crazy. Somebody knew Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens were going to be extremely important. They knew it years ago before the rest of us did. A lot of people didn't pay attention to them until recent. I've been watching Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk since probably 2018, 2019, when I first stumbled upon their videos. And it was just weird. Everybody was telling me you should hate Candace. I was like, why would I hate her? I don't even know her. What is she saying that's so bad? Oh, she's this and that. And I was like, I don't know. I heard you guys say that about a lot of people in lie. So I started watching her videos myself, and I was like, I literally agree with everything she's saying. I can't say that there's anything she's saying that I think is wrong. And then she was with this guy, Charlie Kirk, and I'm thinking, oh, they're probably together. I mean, they're everywhere together. They're both really smart people. Then all of a sudden, one of them gets married, and they go separate ways. And I mean, it was just a weird thing. But I don't know if Candace's husband is her handler, but Erica Kirk was definitely Charlie's handler.
Files, wiping drives, bleach bidding the whole damn crime scene. And if they can erase him, someone that high profile, that connected, what do you think they can do to the rest of us? This isn't just a cover-up. It's the countdown to something much bigger.
See, the reason I make these videos and I want to talk about this is because of what he just said. If they can do this to somebody as high profile and as important as Charlie, and they didn't have to do it in a dark alley, they didn't do it food poisoning, they did it blatantly in front of everyone on camera. If they can do that to him and get away with it, what do you think they can do to the rest of us? So that's why I make these videos. If Erica Kirk can make children disappear, where I'm talking about she worked with the orphanage and not one person is asking, besides a few of us people that do shows, no one else is asking, well, what happened to the kids? You keep in touch with them? Anybody send you a postcard? And it's just complete silence. That's scary. So if they can do that to those kids, what can they do to the rest of us? You know, none of us stand a chance. So that's why we make these videos, because I mean, that means, I mean, I guess there's a war going on and we're involved, but we don't know it. If I'm in a fight, I need to know I'm fighting. I need to know. And I'm making these videos so that we all know we're fighting. Right now, we're fighting for the truth, but it's so much bigger than that. It's so much more than that. So much more is at stake. This is our future. This is our world, our country, our sovereignty, most importantly, our freedom. And if there's another country and people that can just come in there and just kill us at whenever they want to, do we have freedom? Or are we just sheep waiting for the slaughter? I guess it just depends on who you ask.
Israel is not only controlling the feds, seizing control of the algorithms, blackmailing Congress, and paying US influencers to astroturf, they're also buying up the world's most popular VPNs, the tools people trust to protect themselves and their families online. This is massive. And the chilling part? Almost nobody realizes that VPNs aren't protecting you anymore. They've become a global dragnet for surveillance and blackmail.
With the click of a button, you can bring down nations to their knees very rapidly, if you so desire, and if you're willing to take the risks. Because every system can be hacked. Our airplanes, our hospitals, our cars, our banks. Actually, the most important word here is our data banks. They can be hacked.
When Netanyahu talked about data banks, he meant VPNs, the world's digital vaults, the places where we were told our personal information was safe. But safety was an illusion. Israel didn't need guns or tanks to seize control. They used boardrooms, buyouts, and backdoors. Here's where it gets dark. 3 of the 6 most popular VPNs on Earth, ExpressVPN, CyberGhost, and Private Internet Access, are all owned by one company, Cape Technologies. And Cape's roots? They lead straight back to Crossrider, the malware empire built by Israeli intelligence veterans. Now, the same people who once filled your devices with malware are charging you for privacy. And Cape's leadership? Stacked with Israeli military intelligence veterans. The same people who built some of the most advanced surveillance tools on the planet. Do your own research. We're talking about their CEOs, developers, and financiers, all ex-Mossad. The founder, Teddy Sagi, brags about placing ex-agents into his companies. We're talking about Unit 8, equivalent of the NSA, only bigger, bolder, and far less restrained. He also hires from the Dufferin Unit, Israel's elite undercover death squad. Commandos trained to infiltrate, disguise themselves, wage war through deception, and carry out assassinations. These are the people guarding your secrets, the same ones who built the tools to steal them. It's not irony, it's humiliation, and we're the punchline. If you're still using a traditional VPN, cancel it right now. This isn't a drill, it's urgent. You're under attack. The question isn't are you being watched, it's how soon until your data is used against you. This isn't just about privacy anymore, it's about national security. And because we care about our viewers, we are revealing the world's first trustless VPN, VP.net. It's built so that even if it wanted to spy on you, it couldn't. Even if somebody held a gun to their heads, they'd walk away empty-handed. This is next-gen tech for a world under siege. Unlike legacy VPNs, it doesn't ask...
By the way, guys, it's the weirdest thing happened. My camera just completely was disconnected, and I'm trying to restart the camera now. So that's why there's this advertisement going on. I wouldn't normally even play that.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.